Hey, now it is the Rob from 106.1 Kiss FM here with my brand new tag team partner in podcasting.
Hey guys, it's me, Steve, one contributor to 106.1 evansville.com.
Okay, so I want to get things started by saying this is our first real episode together as a new wrestling podcast, Steve.
Yes.
I'm very excited to be taking part with you in this. I know you're a big fan of wrestling.
Yes,
I've always thought you're very quick-witted, you're very funny. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with this show. That being said, I made a big deal earlier in the week about the new name for this show. It is no longer called the Enhancement Talent. I said that this will now be called Outside Interference, and I don't know that we're going to be sticking with that name for multiple different reasons, and we're having a hard time still exactly defining what this show is. So for right now, this is just your unnamed wrestling podcast with Rob and Steve.
Yes.
So Steve, you want to tell people about yourself? How long have you been watching wrestling for?
Been watching wrestling since mid to late 80s, actually right around 88, summer of. Ultimate Warrior wins his first Intercontinental title from Honky Tonk Man.
Okay.
Been a solid, hardcore fan ever since.
Was that the 14-second match?
About that, yes.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so this is Steve, and Steve's going to be hanging out with us here on this unnamed wrestling podcast. I want to talk about, I want to keep the show focused on Sunday's pay-per-view.
Yes.
I know a lot has happened since then, but let's give our thoughts on Sunday's show. First of all, Night of Champions, I was actually pleasantly surprised with the show.
Okay.
I was a happy wrestling fan. A lot of my predictions came true, not all of them, but I thought they made a lot of good steps in writing and a lot of good thoughts, ideas moving forward. What did you think about the show?
I'm not as optimistic about it as you. It kind of raised a few questions for me.
Okay.
One of them which got answered afterwards. It was an injury-related thing, but we can get into that as we go through it.
You want to start at the bottom? The first match on the show, I believe, was Ryback and Kevin Owens.
Yes.
And while it wasn't a great match, I didn't have a big problem with it. I was happy to see Kevin Owens win it, provided he does something with it.
Yes, agreed.
Okay. The next match was Rusev and Ziggler. This match got way more time than I would have expected. And you know, here's the thing. Tell me what you think about this. Every wrestling fan I know, except for me, hates this feud. Where do you stand on Rusev and Ziggler?
I don't stand where I hate it. I think it's kind of run its course.
However, that may be true.
However, for some reason, Sunday night, I got the feel of the Shawn Michaels Mankind In Your House match.
Okay, I can understand that.
I mean, I got that kind of excitement from it, yes.
Yeah, it was. They do have very different styles,
yes.
And to me, I thought that while they had a lot of time, it was okay. I like that stuff. Like every time they're out there, something happens. Like this time, it was Lana and her. I'm sorry, not Lana. It was Summer and her heel hitting Rusev in the head. Was it an accident? We don't know. We also saw Dolph kiss her on the hand on the way out.
Yes.
She seemed to have mixed feelings about that too. So I felt like that went somewhere. I was pretty happy about that.
Yes.
After that came the tag team title match, if I'm not mistaken. I hope I'm not screwing any of these up, but I thought a real highlight of the show, not the highlight, but a real highlight of the show, is watching New Day do their thing. It doesn't matter who they're doing it with.
Yeah, seeing Xavier Woods look like Rufio from the old Hook movie brought back memories. But yeah, I mean, they did the match right. I think it had the right outcome to progress the story.
Yeah, I thought that Xavier adds so much now from the outside that he's not even needed inside. His tromboning is hysterical. What he does it in sync with, like the stomps in the corner, that's hysterical. Yeah. And I believe even when he was finished the match, I think he made a subtle nod to video game fans like us. He very quickly played the Final Fantasy victory tune at the end of the match once New Day retained. At least to retain their titles. I believe they lost the match. Yes. How about the Dudleys, though? Honestly, looking as good as they ever have.
Oh, I know, yeah. I mean, it could be 10 years ago, and
they
look as good, if not better.
If not better. And that's been kind of the theme for Legends. Like, it happened with the New Age Outlaws. Yes. It happened with Goldust. Yes. All these guys, now the Dudley Boys, coming back in better shape than they've ever been, you know, a decade late. It's crazy to me. Yes. I'm trying to think of what came after that. There was the Divas title match. Was that maybe possibly next? Yeah, I think. Oh no, well we got the Wyatt family.
Yes.
and the secret partner reveals himself to be Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
You're shaking your head. Why are you shaking your head?
I love Chris Jericho, but he did not fit in that position.
But you really, that's exactly the way I feel about it too. Chris Jericho is probably one of my top 10 favorite wrestlers of all time. But anymore, and I'm talking about since he left after his Cena feud in like 2006, 2005, I find it to be impossible to invest in him.
Yes.
Because he stays and goes for a cup of coffee. He has other interests that are more important to him than wrestling, like his stupid rock band, or his podcast, or whatever he's doing. And I miss the Jericho that cared about wrestling, if you want me to be totally honest.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And just the chemistry of the match, I mean, I wasn't excited to hear his music as much as I was questioning why. That's
the thing, exactly. It's just like, here's a famous guy everyone likes. Let's team him with other good guys. There was really no storyline point for him being in that match, if you want my honest opinion.
Yes.
I did not finish all of Raw. I don't know if this got resolved or not, but I don't know if he was turning heel at the end of that show. He kind of walked out on the team. He tagged himself in. But, you know, something to give him some character. Is he sticking around? I don't even know. And that's why I can't stand Jericho right now. I really can't. I miss his long hair. You know, I don't like the tights. I kind of like the longer pants that he wears. Yeah. You know, so that was that. That match I didn't have a big problem with, but the Jericho part just didn't make any sense to me.
Yes.
Over the past several weeks, really the past 2 weeks, they've done a very good job of making the Divas title feel very important, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely.
What did you think about the Divas match?
Here's my confusion with the Divas match. A great match. It was one-sided, 90% of it Nikki Bella, until they give Charlotte her spot, and then the match is over.
Okay.
I understand them trying to build up Charlotte's resiliency and toughness, but she should have had, I feel she should have had a few more spots other than just, I'm going to get my butt whipped for 10 minutes and then figure 8.
Sure. Okay, I can understand that. To me, I didn't have a problem with it. I cared about it as much as I possibly could about a Divas match. My one complaint is, because now that we filmed this on Tuesday, I feel like what happened on Raw with the Divas probably should have happened at the pay-per-view, and I'll tell you why. There was a very tearful celebration on Sunday with Charlotte and her dad, Rick.
Yes.
And then how do we pick things up on Monday? We pick things up with a very tearful celebration with Charlotte and her dad, Rick. Why have that repeat, really, when you could just have had Paige turn on Sunday, which, if you think about it, makes more sense anyway. If she's really livid about Charlotte being the champ, she'd have been more livid on Sunday than she would be a day after on Monday, in my opinion. I would have bumped that up to Sunday's show personally.
Yeah, that's a pattern I've noticed that WWE has gotten in the last couple pay-per-views. That Raw right after is better than the pay-per-view the night before.
Oftentimes. Did you feel that way about this show?
I did, yes.
I didn't see the end of the show, but from what I've seen so far, it was not better than Sunday's show, but I seem to like Sunday's show better than you did. No. And then I believe we have just the 2 matches left, the 2 title matches, unless I'm missing any. First came Cena and Seth Rollins.
Yes.
Were you happy to see that match go on first? Did you care? That's what a lot of people were talking about. Was that a big thing for you, which match goes last?
It did matter to me only because the prestige of the world title. I believe that should always be the main event.
Sure.
And I know, Cena's a big name. He's the face of the company. But that match is where it should have been. It was a U.S. title. It should have been beforehand.
I agree with that. And I want to say that this was the best match of the night, in my opinion, by far. Both guys brought it. So much innovative offense. I was so happy watching this match. And I was actually finding myself pulling for Cena. In general, I prefer Seth Rollins. Cena he's a little bit overkill for me. But I want him as the U.S. champion. He's done so much good as the U.S. champion. I don't need one guy, even if he is my favorite, with 2 titles right now.
Agreed.
So I wanted to see Cena win, and I did. I got it. I got a great match. That was everything I wanted out of that match.
Yes.
Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay, let's move on to the main event. The very much talked about confrontation with Sting and Seth Rollins for the World Championship.
Yep.
What'd you think?
I think it started off strong, and then it kind of lost me really fast, and then the ending I questioned, kind of lackluster. You learn afterwards that Sting has a significant injury, so maybe that played a key in it.
Yeah, I agree. It had patches of weirdness to me, but on the same token, To me, it felt like the first real Sting match in the WWE.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I don't count WrestleMania with Triple H as a real match. That was more of a comedy gimmick.
Yes.
There was the Monday before on Raw, but that was like, still kind of felt like practice.
Yes.
And then the match happens, and I found myself really caring about this match. There were some times, like for example, when he took, I believe he took 2 turnbuckle power bombs.
Yes, he did.
When he went through the, I believe, Spanish announce table, it looked like he nailed his head on a monitor.
Yeah.
I was worried about him. Like, he did a great job.
Yeah.
I was really happy to see that he seemed like he was enjoying himself in the match with Seth. But I was sad to hear about the aftermath, that he wound up getting hurt. That's a risk that guys that age take. I believe 54 years old. And that's unfortunate. If wrestling fans want to take solace in one thing, I would say that it's probably Sting didn't have that many matches in him left anyway.
Yes.
And I'm not sure that his career is actually totally over, but that's what we've got from Sunday. Is there anything you wanted to add about that match or the show?
We can't forget the Sheamus run-in.
Oh yeah, you know what? I'm glad you bring it up because I have thoughts about this. What did you think?
I loved it. I knew it was going to happen. But then again, another question. Sheamus comes out to cash in, followed by the Demon Kane. Demon Kane chokeslams Seth Rollins. Me, as Sheamus, why don't you wait outside the ring till Kane's done, then cash in? You don't climb into the ring with a Demon Kane and risk getting chokeslammed and ruining your shot at the title.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And let me tell you another problem I had with it. This is now becoming the boy who cried wolf.
Yes.
Not specifically with Sheamus, but with Money in the Bank in general. Here's what they're doing. They're having someone come out, they're getting the big exciting pop of having the cash in. They hand the belt over to somebody, and before the bell can actually ring, they say it didn't count.
Yes.
That's driving me crazy.
Yeah, me too.
How am I supposed to be invested in this Money in the Bank briefcase when 9 out of 10 times you cashing it in, it doesn't count?
Yes.
You know, like, let's just save it for when it's really going to happen,
exactly.
in my opinion.
I agree.
And in my second opinion, it should have happened on Sunday. It really should have.
Yeah.
So there you go. Those are what we thought about the show. You want to give it a letter grade, Steve?
If I'm giving it a letter grade, I'm thinking a strong C+, maybe B-.
I'm thinking B-. So I guess collectively we'll wind up giving that one like a B-
okay.
for the show. Just, you know, a lot happened, I felt like, and it's a show I could watch again if I had to. I was pretty happy with Sunday's show.
Yes.
So there you have it for this unnamed wrestling podcast. It's only unnamed because literally every other word has been associated with wrestling podcasts.
Yes.
So we're trying to figure out what the right thing to do is with this show, but I do know that I'm happy to be doing it with my man Steve.
Thank you
he
very
brings
much.
the belt, the champion is here. Thank you for your help on this first broadcast.
Of course, I look forward to more.
And we will have more in the future, at least every week. Maybe we'll have more than that. So keep your eyes peeled to 1061evansville.com.
Thanks, guys.